A BB for Hodie. This is Gullah Jack, aka Russ. I'm here with Brother Amos in Makaru. We have a special guest, Miss Èzili Dantò. She of various roles, the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network, the Free Haiti Movement. The critical issue for me is power, the ability to exercise our will in spite of opposition. You look at the host of problems, to quote Dr. Wilson, that confront the African community throughout the diaspora. It is the lack of power. A powerless group of people becomes a race of beggars. Unfortunately, we are wedded to the two-party system, and we remain powerless. In the face of white supremacy, we want to congratulate Brother Amos. Baby is on the way. Evidence of the fact that when a child is here on the way, minority rules. I want to turn it over to Brother Makaru and Amos to continue the discussion with our distinguished guest, Sister Èzili Dantò.
Abibi Fahodie, Bado Mapampano Hotep African family. Today we are honored to have a very special guest, native of Port-au-Prince, Ayiti, warrior sister, activist in the struggle for the liberation and empowerment of African people, particularly our brothers and sisters on the island of Ayiti. And we will be discussing with Sister Èzili today in the context of Dr. John Henry Clarke's All History is a Current Event, the historical situation and the current conditions on the island of Ayiti. Welcome, Sister Èzili, to African Liberation Media.
Thank you. Honor and respect to all of you and your listeners.
Thank you. Asante Sana, Asante Sana. Sister Èzili, just for the sake of those people who may not have in-depth knowledge, most of our listeners probably have a global view of the history of Ayiti, beginning with what I call the disaster of 1492. Could you briefly just give us just a brief overview of what was the island like before the genocidal Europeans invaded, and the conditions that led to August of 1791?
Certainly. For those who don't know, I run the Haitian Lawyers Leadership in the Free Haiti Movement. We are the resistance. And so the Haitian Lawyers Leadership started 25 years ago, so it's that long that we have been on the ground. So it makes that. Haiti is the mother of liberty in the Western Hemisphere after the Europeans' New World began, as you just mentioned. It's the first free country in the whole world created by formerly enslaved people. And Haiti's existence makes the white nation insane. So they must make Haiti the world's most favorite disaster story. I'm sure that most of your audience actually know Haiti as the disaster story. That is the price we pay. But to tell you our story, we at the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network and the Free Haiti Movement, we do what they call the non-colonial narrative. And so to give you a brief overview of history, I always think it's critically important to understand what the word Ayiti means and how it stands in this planet Earth, where the people of the sun are the original people. Haiti is a landmass that was, it's over 1 billion years old. And along with Cuba, when most of America, what we call America now, was underwater because of the catastrophic event of 65 million years ago, when there was intergalactical wars and so forth, it was the only landmass, along with Cuba, that was above water. And so the word Ayit means earth. In various levels, it also, there's two other names for Haiti. It all correlates with the idea that this was the landmass that had survived the catastrophic events. So it's Quisqueya, which means mother of the earth, and it also is another word that they use for Ayiti is Boyo, which means home. So the Africans who became Haitians in the land that people say is the land of the Taínos felt and understood and knew that Ayiti was their homeland and a place that they had been to, or their ancestors had been to, because they recognized the language. So there were blacks in Ayiti when in December 7th, 1492, the pedophile named Columbus got lost thinking he was going to India and landed off of the coast of Cap-Haïtien in the north of Haiti. At that time, that land was ruled by three different nobles, a family, Caciques, and one of them, the one in the north, went out and helped the sailors, the European sailors that had run aground. I think it was, I don't know, one of those things, the Santa Maria or the Penta, one of the three ones had run underground. And so Ayiti is important because it's the first place that the European put a colony in. And Guacanagaric, which is probably was the strongest native chief, destroyed that first fort. First fort. So we were the first people to destroy the fort that was put in Ayiti, and then, of course, 300 years later, after the Europeans had enslaved the Haitians, killed the Taínos and the natives that were there, we were the first and are the first to beat the European powers to win our freedom. And Haiti beat three European powers, the world powers of the time, French, the Spanish, and the British, to abolish slavery, forced assimilation, the triangular trade, direct colonialism, and to become the first to take back the name Ayiti. Ayi in the Fawn African language means earth. The word Ayiti is both Amerindian and African. At the time of the Haitian, so the Spanish conquered the island and ruled it until 1697, when it was divided between the Spanish and the French. The French had the western side, and the Spanish had the eastern side. When the war came in 1791 at a Vodun ceremony on August 14th, where Cécile Fatima, the priestess, who was the leader of that ceremony, the Vodouists who chose a bookman to be the leader amongst all of the warriors and Maroons that were there, that came together to start this war. We at the Free Haiti Movement always teach just one thing about Boacaima. Not one thing, but some of the most important parts of it. And so for your audience, I say what was said at Boacaima by the Haitians, which were the amalgamated tribes of African people, coming from not just those that were enslaved and brought in chains. They were enslaved from the west coast of Africa all the way down to Angola. And Brother Gullah, I believe, understands who the Angolans are. So here we are. We have all of these Africans who had already been fighting the Eurasians in northern Africa, and the Dahomians had been fighting the North Africans. So there had been a war for our very liberty by these folks coming down north. And so Haiti was the place where they started not the European trade. It was already almost 1,200 years of the Arab slave trade going on. And so you could understand how important Haiti is, because it was the first to not only break its chains, but to go beyond what the Abrahamic religions ignored, which was slavery, and do what the Nazarene never even thought to do. Dessalines did that, and Dessalines is our founding father, our hero, and to us, the greatest black man who ever lived on this planet. And so that is just the beginning of who and what we are. As I said, if there are so much more to talk about, but we only have a small amount of time, and I know you have a lot more questions, but essentially what I want your folks to understand is that at Bois Caïman, when the voting ceremony was held to begin the Haitian Revolution, there was a template. They didn't just go in and started burning plantations and cutting heads. They had a directive, and that directive was said in the language of the King Congo people from Angola, what is now in all the way up to what they call the Congo. It was part of that arena. Mabamba Kanga Mandele Kanga Bafioti Kanga Najoki Kanga Yo. The supreme God of our God will strengthen our hands to get rid of, and this is the template that we use at the Free Haiti movement to face the European, Eurasian Neanderthals and 1% and colonists. And that is, the directive was, we must kill, stop, somehow barricade the Mandele. Mandele in the Kikongo language means the stranger, which meant the white man, the colonist. That's Mandele. So not family, stranger, because before that time, as the Africans were traveling back and forth to Ayiti and to Africa, they understood that would, no matter what different languages they were, there was family here. So the Mandele was not family. The second thing they said is that we have to stop the Bafioti. The Bafioti are the black collaborators with the Mandeles that help to enslave us or cooperate to enslave us, like the integrated Negroes of today. And then the Najoki is the evil forces that the Eurasians use to maintain their slavery. And just quickly tell you what those were, they are the same thing that they are today. They use their military, their economic system, their education, their religion, in every level of activity, as Neely Fuller speaks of, areas of activity. The 9 areas of activity he speaks of includes, the law, to enslave us. So the most important thing to understand about the beginning of the Haitian state is that their directive was to stop Mandele, stop the black collaborators, and all the evil forces. So that's how Haiti was born. And today, there were 500,000 black folks in Haiti at the beginning of the Haitian Revolution. Half of us died, half of my ancestors gave their life so that I could be speaking to you today in that 13-year war of liberation, which ended, like I said, the forced assimilation, direct colonialism, triangular trades, and so forth. But the Europeans came back. And the way they came back is what we say was the failure of the Haitian Revolution. And it's something that we at Free Haiti movement are very conscious of not repeating that failure. And that is this idea that we have to unite with the enemy. And so it was because the mulatto sons of France, our own, betrayed us. And Dessalines had a chance to get rid of these mulattoes, but he did not. And that was his greatest mistake, because they had more allegiance to their fathers in France than they had to this new nation. Because as light-skinned folks, they were closer to the aesthetics of the European. And so he left Pétion in Boyer in Haiti. They were diaspora, the first diaspora in Haiti, and we still have the same template, right? The Haitian diaspora are a bunch of integrated Negroes who only want to work for the UN, the NGOs, and all the status quo after they get their education in these Western schools. But the first of these were the mulattoes, because the plantations in Haiti, the fathers of these rapists who would rape the African woman to have children, whatever, then they would have these children, pick selected ones of them to go to France and be educated and come back and become. A lot of them were chasseurs. They were the catchers of the Maroons that went up the hills and escaped slavery. So these folks came back on the boat to re-enslave their mother's family on behalf of their father's family. As my favorite historian, Dr. Henry Clarke says, the mulatto factor. And if you don't understand that, you can just look it up. And so that's what happened. During the revolution, we had big generals. Toussaint Louverture, he was kidnapped because there is something we teach at the Free Haiti movement with respect to Toussaint Louverture, which everyone talks about as the greatest general in the Haitian Revolution, but he wasn't our founding father. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who was under Toussaint, rose after Toussaint was kidnapped by the French and tortured and killed in the Jura Mountains in France. He rose and he beat this armada, the greatest armada of that time. They came, 50,000 troops Napoleon sent to re-enslave the Africans, and he sent his brother-in-law, Leclerc. And they were so thinking that they were going to destroy these barefoot, without resources, without money, media, or military, Haitians, that they, Leclerc, who was the brother-in-law of Napoleon, came with his wife. And, she brought all her big dresses. She was going to go dancing and on the grave and genocide that they had intended of the Africans. But then they met the indigenous army of Haiti, who destroyed them. And we have been paying for that. But in that destruction, 50,000 troops, Napoleon had intended. He sent 30,000 to Haiti, and 20 he left in the Louisiana Territory, because he had intended to just beat the Haitians and then go up with his rest of his army and take over the 13 colonies that were there at that time. So that's like kind of the beginning of our history. The Mulatto Sons of France were in that boat, the first diaspora, to try to bring us back into slavery. To work for their fathers or their Western education folks. And the two generals that were in that boat were named Pétion and Boyer. And then there was the children in that boat of Toussaint Louverture, because he was a general also in the French army. So that's kind of our beginning. Dessalines, when he had the opportunity, when Boisson Tonnerre, who actually is a mulatto, brought to him the plot of the other mulattoes, he let Pétion live, and that has been the mistake that we do all of the time. And whenever Haitians say to us, "L'union fait la force," which is union is force, we say no. We were not going to unite with the integrated Negroes. So there are certain principles that we live by at the Free Haiti movement. They are the Guacanagaric call, which is we need to stop the colonists, the black collaborators, and their evil forces. We also understand the principle that we work for, and that principle is Dessalines and the indigenous army of Haiti said that they cannot live like the Eurasians in their bourgeois democracy. Bourgeois or bourgeois freedom. Bourgeois freedom is when slavery torture, rape, human trafficking lives in the same space as beauty, unlimited freedom, unlimited wealth, unlimited beauty. They live in the same space in the Europeans' so-called civilization. And the difference between us and the rest of the universe is that Haiti, or Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henri Christophe, and those guys said no, and the women of the Haitian Revolution said, no, we cannot live in a space where slavery exists with freedom. So they said no to that, and we are the first place that worked towards universal freedom for all. That is evidenced by the fact that after Haiti became a free country in 1804, Second Republic, so-called in the so-called New World, because we know there were black republics and black nations in this hemisphere before Ayiti, but let's just say before the beginning of the New World. Jean-Jacques Dessalines sent out an announcement and put it in the papers of the United States. At the time, there were 13 colonies. He said, any ship captain who brought their cargo to the island of Ayiti would be paid $40 per head. That he would, and all these Africans will be free. All they have to do is step foot on this island, and it's the land of freedom. So that's quickly our history.
Okay, let me thank you for that. So the lesson we learned there is recognizing clearly who our enemies are, and of course, a lot of times we don't recognize our enemies if they have some degree of melanin or if they have full melanin. Certainly, Narmer recognized the fact that he had to totally destroy the Africans that were opposed to the unification of Kemet before he could attack the foreigners in the north. So Dessalines is assassinated, and I guess you could you would call these colonial lackeys then take over, Pétion and the others, and the global European powers refused any kind of economic trade or anything with our Haiti. And then there is what some people call, I don't know if you use this term or not, an independence debt imposed on Haiti, which they had to pay to France. I think this was continuing even into the 1950s. Can you talk about that? What precipitated the 1915 U.S. invasion of Haiti and the rise of Papa Doc Duvalier?
Certainly. So in Haiti is liberated 1804. We have Dessalines is then assassinated by the mulatto sons of France and their complicity with their fathers in these European capitals. So he was assassinated October 17th, 1806. And from there began, like you said, the colonial lackeys. Neocolonialism began in Haiti. Neocolonialism is when they put a blackface or seemingly blackface on the independence of a black country, but that blackface is the puppet of the colonist. And so we are the template, actually, for what's going on in the world right now. Haiti, whether it's the debt, which is the independence debt that we had to pay to France so that the Europeans would recognize Haiti and leave it alone, or whether it was the neocolonialism where you have a blackface to colonialism that is so Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines, each of them had something that we always have in our struggles. We always have this dichotomy of the compromising Negroes and then the uncompromising Negro who would not compromise, the Black folks. So Dessalines said he was fighting for a Black independent nation, period. Toussaint Louverture was fighting so that Haiti would be a Black French colony. Those were the differences. Toussaint Louverture wanted to abolish slavery, but govern on behalf of France. So he wanted a colony for France. And so it is the Toussaint Louverture model that is everywhere in the Caribbean, the 15 nations of the Caribbean, and the 53 nations of Africa, and so forth in the global South. The 1825 Boyer agreed, in order for France to stop trying to come back and re-enslave the island of Ayiti, to pay for every enslaved person that the French lost as property. And so we paid 10 times the amount that Thomas Jefferson was paid for the for the Louisiana Territory. So after Haiti won its independence and beat all those 50,000 troops of Napoleon, they couldn't take over America, United States. And so they sold those territories that they owned in what is called the Louisiana Purchase, and that price was $15 million. Haiti is a smaller space than, let's say, Rhode Island, one of the small places of America. And so, remember, the Louisiana Territory created in whole or apart 15 American states. Our landmass is smaller than, Rhode Island. But we, under the independence debt, had to pay $150 million. So it was $15 million for the whole of 15 states, the Louisiana Purchase. But Haiti had to pay 10 times that amount, even though it was only the size of Rhode Island, as I said. So that is the first other template that the colonists used. They just like, after the Civil War, blacks in America, went into sharecropping. Slavery continues, but it's in debt. So debt, dependency, and domination is their template. Divide and conquer, their template. So that's the story of the independence debt. Now, you may know that in 1994, this is the first time I went back to Haiti since my parents left because of Duvalier. I went back as a lawyer for the first democratically elected Haitian president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. He, of course, was deposed or ousted twice, once by Bush the father in 1991, and then 1990, and then Bush the son in 2004, and we have been living the horror of U.S. occupation since the bicentennial of 2004. But the first U.S. occupation, as you mentioned, was in 1915. And before I just tell you very quickly what that was about, let me just say that Aristide is the first Haitian president to demand that France return back the independence debt to Haiti. And by that time, and that was one of the reasons he was deposed or destroyed by their military, media, and monies, the independence debt in 2004, when he demanded it, was now $21 billion. Because Haiti, they kept renegotiating that 150 when the Spanish came over and took over half of our island. They reduced that debt to $90 million. because they pushed in and got what they call now today Dominican Republic, which is the bane of our existence, and it's like the South winning the Civil War, for instance. And so that's the story. 1915, there was the European World Wars were going on, and there were Germans in Haiti. The United States decided that the Monroe Doctrine and Manifest Destiny was its principles, Manifest Destiny, and that the Europeans should not be in its backyard, as it says. And Haiti, of course, it looked upon as its backyard. And so it came in, renegotiated the independence debt, renegotiated the independence debt in 1914 with the French, took it over, and then used that as an excuse to bring their boats in and cart out. Haiti at that time in 1914 had its own gold standard currency, and it backed up its own currency. The European couldn't have that. So they came in, and on the pretext of Haiti not paying the independence debt that they had taken over from the French, they carted out Haiti's gold treasury. That was carted out. It was never returned to Ayiti. So in addition to paying from 1825 to 1947 a debt to these European Neanderthal genocide pedophiles, whatever you want to call these evil forces that came on to the planet, they also took our gold and then put us on the U.S. dollar. And so Haiti has been just colonized since that 1915. They also took, as you all know, being black males, that the United States police force came from the slave catchers in the South. Well, they brought the South, Marines from the South specifically to Haiti in 1915, who literally put black Haitians back into slavery. They put us in chain gangs, and Haitians refused and fought off the Cacos. The great Cacos fought hard, but they were overpowered, of course, by the power and technology of the Europeans. And so that is the story. We have been under occupation since then because the indigenous Haitian army was destroyed, co-opted, and the army we have was trained by the U.S., and that army then was about putting people into office like Duvalier dictatorship. And so since 1915 to 2015, that makes it 100 years of U.S. occupation in Haiti, financially, military, and so forth. And that's where we are.
Okay, you said your parents fled, left the island because of the utter brutality of Papa Doc Duvalier, and but the Haitian people would rise up against his son, who was known as Baby Doc, and install Aristide as their president, and of course the imperial powers certainly can't tolerate any type of self-determination or independence by African people anywhere, but particularly on the island of Haiti because of the overwhelming message that is sent to African people throughout the world that these monsters, these Neander thugs, can be defeated. So they had to move to engage in a coup d'etat against Aristide twice, and they have subsequently installed a series of neo-colonial puppets. And could you talk about the devastation of the earthquake, the UN invasion, the rape and pillage, the rape of our sisters there, the pillage of the country, the pedophilia that took place against our children, all of this, the cholera and all of the venereal diseases these Neanderthugs operating under the UN brought into the island, and what kind of resistance has been taking place against that, including against the Clinton crime family.
No doubt. So as you say, my brother, Aristide was the first democratically elected president, but he was overthrown by the chief of the CIA, former chief of the CIA, George W. The father, Bush the father, because it's really important for us to understand that Haiti is a fiscal paradise for the Europeans, and always it's auction off for power. Yeah, they just auction us off. And so when you talk about the Clinton Foundation, Obama just auctioned us off to the Clintons to get him out of his air for 8 years. When you talk about the earthquake and the geoengineering of the European, we have to then go back to what is in Haiti. We have to go back to why it was so important to destroy Aristide, because Aristide wasn't a revolutionary in the way of wanting to get out of a relationship with the Neanderthals. He was more like Toussaint, as he says. He wanted to be able to provide for the people and use the resources for the people. He showed the Haitian folks, here's where our resources are, here's what they are, and we want self-reliance. But he was a priest before he became a president, and so he never really could get rid of the European education of believing the demon rats. So, as I said, I was one of the people who went back to Haiti when he was brought back by the Clintons, by Bill Clinton. And that's when I began my journey directly in Haiti. That's when I came face to face with what they call the NGOs, non-governmental organization. And so these are poverty pimps who are used as the soft arm. The charitable industrial complex is used as the soft arm of imperialism. And the European has a weakness in that he must delude himself that he is a savior. And so what is really important to understand about all of the stuff that you talked about, right? The overthrow of Aristide, the first democratically elected president, the one who was directly elected. The United States doesn't have a direct democracy. It's folks are elected through the Electoral College, but Haiti had a direct democracy, and 60 to 70% of the vote went to Aristide. The United States does not want that kind of democracy. They just want one strong man that they control, who then control the people, in a dictatorship. And they call that, democracy. And that's what they have everywhere. And like I said, so after the Cold War, the Europeans could not use their theater of trying to get rid of communism to maintain this image of being saviors and brave and land of the free and all that crap that they sell to the sheeple. So they came up with the charitable industrial complex. It's sort of like an updated version of the missionaries that went to Africa and then, gave them the Bible in exchange for their land and everything they had, like the roads. Of course, Bill Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar, so he was very good at that. So right pillage and pedophilia of the UN forces after the earthquake. Well, what you have to understand is that, as a scholar, historian, leader of this resistance with Free Haiti movement, what we understand is that the European is naturally a homosexual.
That's right.
So because of that, that's what his military is about. And that's what his military teaches African military to be about. And so whenever, and of course, patriarchy and all of those other isms. So whenever there is a war where the vulnerable is conquered by the stronger, the reward is rape of the people.
Right.
And that's been going on, forever since the Roman pedophiles and so on got to Kemet, because in their own country, they had no value for their women.
Exactly.
Except as breeders. So, and you all know that there was a point in time in the universe when women were the divine folks, just like Cécile, Fatima, and Èzili Dantò.
Absolutely.
But the European has a different culture, and that culture is about rape, pillage, genocide, pedophilia. His God is really germs, oil, drugs.
Yeah, and steel, right.
And steel. So rape, pillage, and pedophilia is just the reward for his brutality. And the UN forces in Haiti have raped, murdered, stolen, and brought us cholera, which killed 10,000 Haitians. They brought us cholera. The earthquake happened. We just memorialized 9 years since the earthquake on January 12th, 2019. In that earthquake, it was the most devastating natural event in terms of damage to a country. And there's a reason for that damage to that country. But we'll talk about Haiti's riches when you have a chance to ask me that question. But right now, to answer your question about the rape and pillage and pedophilia, besides giving you the historical, background of who these Neanderthals are and what they prefer in terms of sexual activity, I'll give you an example that I teach all the time. And the Veve, which is the sign of the Divine Mother, of the ancient Divine Mother, what folks might, look upon as Aset, Haru, was a heart with a dagger going through it. I'm not going to go into why she had that heart with a dagger, except to say that it was her own men and children that betrayed her to the Neanderthals and preferred the women that don't look like her. So in Africa, part of the reasons why the Divine Mother was destroyed, as I said, was because these men that came down, they had no use for a woman as warrior. And so, just to give you an example, they killed the Europeans doing, I think they called it the Salem witch hunts, the witch hunts that were in Britain and all over Europe. They killed their own powerful women before they came to kill my people in 1492. They were killing their own women and children. So imagine what they will do to those that are not their women and children. So that's essentially on just this past January 2019, the 12th, we memorialized this earthquake where 310,000 people died in 33 seconds. 2 million were on the streets, homeless, and most of everything in Port-au-Prince had fallen down. And suspiciously, of course, the island Nothing happened to the Dominican Republic, which is colonized and owned by the Europeans. So that's where we are with regards to that earthquake. Then the Clintons were dispatched to Haiti by Obama, the Bafiochi, black collaborator that he is, beta male of that he is, a mulatto that he is. I already told you about the mulatto factor. So he dispatched the Clintons on behalf of the Eurasians to come to Haiti. And to quickly tell you is that they raised between $13.3 billion, or some say $13.6 billion, supposedly in the name of these dead Haitians, to build back Haiti better, and took that money. And Haiti has not been built back better. As a matter of fact, they also used the opportunity with the UN to give us cholera. So all of our water system right now is poisoned by their feces. That's the conditions we are in 2019.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that out of all of that money, they only built just a handful of houses for the people of Ayiti to live in. So, I mean, that's why I call them the Clinton crime family. In terms of, I've been reading your work probably since maybe around 2004, somewhere in that neighborhood. And one of the recent things that I saw you talking about, maybe within the last year or two, is the mineral resources, that exist on the island. Something that I was not aware of. I think was it tritium? Is that what it is? Can you talk about the mineral resources in addition to when we were talking last night? You dropped a concept on me. The 3 M's that we need: military, media, and money. So in addition to the resources, because I mean we know that that's why Africa is in the condition that it's in today. The Dominican, the DRC is sitting on an estimated $24 trillion worth of untapped mineral resources, and so this is what they're always about. So can you talk about the mineral resources? In addition to the 3M concept, and what is the potential of the resistance today against the neocolonial power structure that's in place?
Certainly. So I'm going back to the billion-year-old landmass, right? Haiti is a land of mountains. There's more mountains in Haiti than there is in Switzerland, which is known for its mountains. There are many things that are inside those mountains, including what the European will call extraterrestrial. But right now, for the purposes of Haiti's riches, when 65 million years ago, an asteroid landed, it created a volcanic explosion, which eventually, like I said, brought the nuclear winter. But for whatever reason, Ayiti went above ground, and it has these mountains. These mountains are made of what is called the remains of these asteroids. And so 1 ton of the iridium is worth about $45 billion. 1 ton. The European has been carting it out since before 1986, since before that's one of the reasons why they had to get rid of Ayiti, because they needed to put their lackeys in that will let them do this, because it's so important to them to go into space. Because the iridium is the most heat-resistant material on the planet. It comes from, the asteroid from another space. It's extraterrestrial. So that's the first riches. And I remember when the earthquake happened and we lost so many folks for the Free Haiti movement, I said that if the United States wanted to really to build Haiti back better, let us just have a little bit of our own resources. Just 1 ton of iridium is $45 billion. Every Haitian, there's now 13 million Haitians in Haiti. Remember when we started, because they always tell you the disaster story, and I need to tell you more than the disaster story, obviously. So when we started in 1804, there was, 500,000 Haitians started the revolution, and, there was only 250,000 of us. Despite all the terror, despite 100 and I don't know how many years of European barbarity in Haiti and making it a fiscal paradise and bringing in the Jesuits and the pedophiles and so forth, today we still have the bounty of the black woman, which is 13 million people in Haiti. And there's 5 million Haitians, outside of Haiti. That's our bounty, and that's because we don't put profit over people. But the European and the people he educates looks at us as being very poor. He only wants, what he calls development, which is like, for instance, Dominican Republic is considered developed. The Dominican women are the 4th most prostituted people on the planet, but it's considered development for him. And so the iridium, like I said, is being carted out, and they use the UN trucks and UN logos and outsource the U.S. Occupation by putting UN uniforms on U.S. Soldiers and French soldiers and all of these other soldiers, and they bring in a few, from Africa, all the way down to the 11 Latin American countries that they use for the UN forces in Haiti. And so that's how they are conducting their war right now. It's through the United Nations, and which is why it's always so disappointing to me when I hear some black revolutionaries, so-called, talk about how they're going to go to the UN for justice for the police brutality in the United States. And so that's basically all I can say about that. I'm sorry I forgot. You said 2 other things.
Yeah, well, could you just tell us about the work that you're doing, through the Free Haiti movement?
Okay, so yeah, sure, yes. So yes, so anyways, the military-industrial complex works with the non-for-profit, which are mostly CIA agents who come in and I mean, they're just agents of empire. They may not, of course they don't think of themselves like that, but they're just poverty pimps masturbating on black pain. We say at the Free Haiti movement, Haiti has what they are telling us is 20 billion in gold, 8 billion in copper, 120 billion in oil. We have more oil than Venezuela. The head of Venezuelan oil is in our waters. They are in our waters doing it right now, trying to get rid of Maduro. Right now they have their lackey, who's a money laundering. They always put in to Haiti folks that they can control, and they're normally criminals. So right now the criminal that's in office, his name is Jovenel Moïse. He's an indicted money laundering drug person. Most of parliament in Haiti are narco traffickers, so that they can use this drug thing to keep these people in line and to have them vote whatever they want. So just recently, Haiti voted to sanction Maduro's election in Venezuela. Of course, that's Kenneth Merton. That's the Clintons. That's the Bush. Okay, because that's what they control. They control these lackeys. And what they did from 2004 to today is we went from a direct democracy where the population voted for the leaders to destroying that system and creating a system where only 17% of the people actually vote for a leader. It's like in the United States, you have only 20% of the voters voting. then they call that an election. To finally say anything here with the Free Haiti movement, we have 6 events that we do per year to remember who we are, to remember what our ancestors left us, what their template was. Whether is the Guacanagaric, we celebrate Guacanagaric, the August 14th, we celebrate January 1st when we got our independence. All of that is what we do. In addition to, I run something called ÈziliJan, which is clean water, solar power, and solar electricity for Haiti. We also try to work towards money, media, and military. And during the Haitian Revolution, we did not have military or any of those things, but we found a way out of no way. And so we have to use the military that's in Haiti to get rid of the colonization. We have to use the diaspora resources, and we have to appeal to that 1 to 5% of the Black woman's children who are not beta males, who are warriors, who are not mammies, who are Èzili Dantòs. And that's what we do.
Fantastic. I know that you publish a newsletter, so what we're going to do on our Facebook page is put up the links to the Free Haiti movement and to the Lawyers Network, and also what I'll do is send you an email so that I can get on that on your email, on your the newsletter that you publish, and then we'll make other people aware of that and make it available to people. Is there anything in closing? We're getting ready to end the show for today. Is there any last thoughts or anything you would like to leave us with, Sister Èzili?
Thank you so much, Brother Mathieu, Amos, and Galajak, for the invitation. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for your listeners for paying attention. We are the Free Haitians. We are marginalized, destroyed, whether it's through social media or whether it's my website constantly. So yes, you're right. Please send us your email if you want to be put on in our mailing list. We reach 3 million folks, but those with more media push us out. So we do ask for those who want to help us. If you've come to help me, you're wasting your time. If you come to help Haiti, you're wasting your time. But if you've come to us because you understand that your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us all work together towards that. Thank you.
Bibi Fahodie, Asante, sister.
Power or the lack of power. I want to repeat this. Power or the lack of power. If your education in this institution is not about gaining real power, not jobs, because your jobs do not represent power. Not getting elected, that does not represent power either. Buying your houses and fine clothes does not represent power. If it is not about real power, you are being miseducated and misled, and you will die educated and misled. If your study of Black history is merely an exercise in feeling good about yourself, then you will die feeling good. The study of history then must be more than the pumping up of your self-esteem and the pumping up of your pride. Those things are important, but ultimately, those things are not the means by which we will save ourselves as people in this world.